Hello everyone, it's Hannah and
Mel
again in another housing video. Today we are giving you 10 tips on finding the best student accommodation in Meppel that suits you.
Alright, let's talk prices and sizes. So the average price in Meppel is around 400 to 450 euros for a room that's between 10 and 15 square meters. It can happen though that you find a room that might be 600 to 700. We do have some accommodations that have that, but if any prices is offered to you that are much higher than that, then keep in mind that that is likely a scam. That is not the average here in Meppel.
We recommend asking the landlord if the rent includes all amenities, which means electricity, water bills, anything of those sorts, Wi-Fi as well. Usually they are all included in the rent, but if they're not, so it's good to ask just to make sure that you don't get an extra shock at the end of the month.
And while we're at it, a common question as well is, are cleaning supplies included? So you should definitely ask whether there is a vacuum cleaner available to the house and maybe other cleaning supplies, toilet paper and so on, because that can definitely differ. Second of all, also, what is a very common question is, are washing machines included? That is something you should definitely ask. Similarly with a dishwasher, because it will really depend on the student accommodation if those are available. Also, talking about washing machines, in some student accommodations you do actually pay for getting your laundry done, so that is definitely something you should ask as well.
On top of that, make sure to check in with your landlord on paying a deposit when you're moving in. That is very normal in the Netherlands, to pay a sum of money that covers any damage done to your room while you live there. And if no damage has been done, the money is of course paid back to you when you move out. And therefore, I really recommend that you take pictures of your room when you move in, so that you cannot be falsely accused of having broken something you didn't break. A deposit can vary. Usually it is worth 1 month of rent. So say your monthly rent is 400 euros. The first month that you move in, you would be paying 800, but the 400 of those 800 would be saved and paid back to you when you move out.
Talking about the deposit, it is also really important that you take a look at the contract before you sign anything. A few things that are very important to look out in a contract for is, first of all, how long does the contract last? So could you actually move out earlier? Or for some it is that maybe you have to live there for a full year, but for your second year of rent, you can actually already move out within 3 months and so on. So just check about the length of the contract. Similarly, check with your landlord what happens if you want to move out early. And with that being said, also, can you actually sub-rent your room? Because something you have to keep in mind is that every single year you're going on a teaching practice abroad, and for some it might become a financial problem if you couldn't sub-rent your room while you're gone.
On top of that, I would make sure to ask about kitchen supplies. Do you need to bring your own cutlery, plates, cups, pans, pots, anything of those sorts? Most importantly, not all places offer a fridge or an oven or microwave. And if you want any of those things, I recommend asking if you need to buy your own or not, and if you have to store it in your room, including the pots and pans as well.
While we're talking about storing things, you should also think about where you can store your food. Is there a pantry in the house, or do you have to have your dry foods in your room? And similarly, is there storage for your suitcases, any winter coats, winter bedding, or anything else that you feel like wouldn't fit in your room? Didn't we forget something, Hannah?
Oh yeah! I would check if your room comes furnished or not, so that you don't sleep on the floor. I recommend checking in with the landlord beforehand. Often the previous tenant is willing to sell their furniture to the following person taking over the room. So I also recommend checking in with that. If they aren't selling any furniture, Meppel has a lot of second-hand stores where you can buy a lot of nice things. And if that isn't something you're interested in, we have an IKEA store 15 minutes away from Meppel by car.
In addition to that, we also have a Facebook group called Meppel Buy and Sell. So if maybe you see that group, you might also find someone else who's selling something, even if that's not someone who previously lived in your house, but you can easily also find students selling their stuff on there.
So this concludes our housing series here on our YouTube channel. We have successfully visited every single student housing in Meppel. So cheers to that. Thank you for watching and good luck with the house search.
A little behind the scenes info. If you were wondering if we were actually drinking something during this video, the answer is no. They are actually from us. So let's just put them back.